Rose, musk, ylang ylang. Here is a fantastic fragrance for the hotter weather by Alghabra. This one is called Bosphorus Pearl. I'm looking forward to giving you my thoughts on this 2019 fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on this, and look at this beautiful artwork here. This one is called Bosphorus Pearl by Alghabra. And of course, I've had experience with this brand for many, many years now, and I actually own about 9 or 10 fragrances from this brand, but this is one that I think is fantastic for the hotter weather. I want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance related content and if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and also please give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. So what are we dealing with here? We have rose, we have ylang ylang, we have musk, we have some woods. It's floral, it's a little fresh in the opening. The musk is super clean in the dry down of this one. We have the absence of some sweet notes. Bosphorus Pearl is such a beautiful fragrance. And one thing that I can see from here, but you can't, is on the label, you see the white label with the gold perimeter. You turn it around and you see the beautiful artwork. Now, this brand is available for a good price at maxaroma.com. That's where I got my bottle from, and the 4 recent acquisitions of mine from this brand, I got them all from Max Aroma. And if I can read this, it's inspired by the Maiden's Tower. It's an extrait de parfum. It has this beautiful story on the back here, and I'm not going to read it because it's going to take like 2 minutes, but I will show it in the presentation segment. You can always pause your screen if that's your thing. So I'm excited to talk to you about the smell, also make a suitable comparison later on in the review, but let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get this beautiful, natural smelling rose ingredient with this clean, elegant musk. So it's a bright, rosy, slightly citrusy, musky fragrance. It's sweet, it's gentle, it's a little flirtatious but innocent at the same time, which I think is a really interesting contrast. It's flirtatious and playful, but also conveys a sense of innocence. So this one actually smells a lot like Delina by Parfum de Marly. And I would say maybe it's a bit closer to Delina La Rosée, but Delina La Rosée has this grassy, almost like a morning dew citrusy vibe happening in here. This one doesn't have that bright citrusy freshness, but I think it supplants the vanilla with this clean musk. So this is like, almost imagine like a diet Delina. Imagine like an unsweetened Delina. Maybe you really like Delina, but you're like, oh, that vanilla in the dry down and the sweetness coming from the lychee, it's a little too much for me, right? Well, I almost knocked something over. If you imagine that maybe Delina is a bit too sweet for you, but this one is going to take it in an unsweetened direction, and you're like, you know what? That's kind of what I've always wanted from Delina. Something that's suitable for the hotter weather, something that conveys that sort of lighthearted, sensual, yet innocent vibe, but minus that sweetness. Please try Bosphorus Pearl. And I think the name is so suitable for this one as well. It's such an addictive smell. And I think it's so interesting, kind of getting like this, and I'll use this term for it, this deconstructed version of Delina, where it's like, okay, let's break it apart and let's piece it back together without including the sweetness into the mix. It's really interesting. You know, it's almost like an undressed version of Delina, if I dare say that. This one is awesome. Please try it if you can. Bosphorus Pearl, Max Aroma has it, and you can sample at Max Aroma. You don't have to blind buy. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this one smells a lot like Delina, minus the sweetness. So it's not the most unique fragrance out there, but it's such an amazing fragrance. And again, it does its own thing. It is different. I only use Delina as a frame of reference for comparison's sake. I'm not saying this is inspired by it or anything like that. Please try this one for yourself if you can. Longevity on this one is a solid 7 hours on my skin. Projection was really good for the first hour of application. It radiated at an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5, a skin scent right around hour 7. In terms of the versatility, some people would argue it's feminine leaning. Minus the sweetness though, I can see a lot of guys arguing that it's unisex. But yeah, if you're gonna be in the mindset of Delina when you're wearing this one, you're also gonna think it's feminine leaning. I think this one is great for the hotter weather. I think this one is great for any demographic, perhaps even a bit of an older demographic because it's not as sweet as Delina. And then I think this one will probably work really, really well in a dressed up scenario. It has a sort of elegant quality about it that I enjoy. Presentation on this one is beautiful. Cap clicks into place. I love the embossed design on the cap here, the graphic on the back of the label, and the bottle is pretty heavy too. My final verdict on this fragrance is it is a wonderful unsweetened version of Delina. I think it's an incredible fragrance. Please check it out if you have the opportunity to do so. And everything about this, from the sleeve, the presentation is gorgeous. Please try it at Max Aroma. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you took something of value from today's review, Bosphorus Pearl by Alghabra. If you enjoyed this review, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give it a thumbs up. Thank you again so much for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.